Did you know the technology that makes your smartphone touchscreen work was invented by a black woman? Or that a black man designed the blueprints for Washington, D.C. from memory after the original plans were stolen? How about the fact that open-heart surgery was pioneered by a black doctor who wasn't allowed to operate in most hospitals? Or that the carbon filament in Edison's light bulb was actually perfected by a black inventor? Well, buckle up, because black inventors, scientists, and engineers have been changing the world while history books gave credit elsewhere. We've got 50 mind-blowing stories of brilliance, determination, and innovation that literally shaped the modern world. So, let's get right into it. Fact 50. The man who designed Washington, D.C. from memory. Benjamin Banneker was a self-taught mathematician, astronomer, and surveyor who helped design the layout of Washington, D.C. in 1791. When the lead architect, Pierre L'Enfant, abruptly quit and took all the plans with him, the project nearly collapsed. Banneker recreated the entire city design from memory in just 2 days. The nation's capital exists as planned because a black man's mind served as the backup drive. Banneker also published almanacs with astronomical calculations so accurate they rivaled any in the world, predicted a solar eclipse to the exact minute, and built a fully functional wooden clock at age 22 that kept perfect time for over 50 years, all without formal education or instruction manuals. Fact 49. The light bulb wouldn't work without him. Everyone credits Thomas Edison with inventing the light bulb, but Lewis Latimer made it actually functional. Edison's early bulbs burned out in hours. Latimer, a black inventor and engineer, developed the carbon filament in 1881 that made light bulbs burn longer and brighter, turning them from expensive curiosities into practical household items. Latimer also improved the manufacturing process, making bulbs affordable for average people. He was the only black member of Edison's elite research team, Edison's pioneers, and drafted the patent drawings for Alexander Graham Bell's telephone. Without Latimer, you'd still be reading by candlelight. Fact 48. The woman who revolutionized computer programming. Annie Easley was a NASA rocket scientist and computer programmer whose code was critical to the Centaur rocket project, technology that enabled launches to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. She developed and implemented computer algorithms for alternative energy systems, studying solar, wind, and battery technologies decades before they became mainstream. Easley began her NASA career in 1955 as a human computer, a mathematician who performed calculations by hand before electronic computers existed. She adapted brilliantly when computers arrived, teaching herself programming languages and becoming one of NASA's first computer programmers. Her work on energy efficiency and battery-powered vehicles in the 1970s directly contributed to modern hybrid car technology. Fact 47. He invented the Super Soaker and worked for NASA. Lonnie Johnson is a nuclear engineer who worked on the stealth bomber program and NASA's Galileo mission to Jupiter. But he's most famous for inventing the Super Soaker water gun, one of the best-selling toys in history, generating over $1 billion in sales. Johnson accidentally created the Super Soaker while developing an environmentally friendly heat pump in his bathroom. A prototype shot a powerful stream of water across the room, and he realized he'd stumbled onto something revolutionary. He holds over 120 patents, including innovations in thermodynamics, battery technology, and energy systems. The man who helped explore Jupiter also created the most devastating backyard water warfare technology ever conceived. Fact 46. The doctor who pioneered open-heart surgery while banned from most hospitals. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the world's first successful open-heart surgery in 1893, repairing a stab wound to the pericardium, the sac surrounding the heart, without modern anesthesia, antibiotics, or blood transfusions. The patient lived for 20 years afterward. Williams founded Provident Hospital in Chicago in 1891, the first black-owned and operated hospital in America, specifically because black doctors were denied privileges at white hospitals and black patients received inferior care or were turned away entirely. He established training programs for black nurses and interns, creating pathways into medicine that had been systematically closed. Williams performed groundbreaking cardiac surgery in a segregated medical system that considered him unqualified to treat white patients. Fact 45. The hidden figure behind GPS and satellite technology. Gladys West is a mathematician whose work directly led to the creation of GPS technology. Working at the U.S. Naval Proving Ground in the 1950s to 80s, West programmed computers to model the Earth's shape with unprecedented precision. Her calculations accounted for gravitational, tidal, and other forces affecting satellite orbits. This mathematical modeling became the foundation for GPS satellite systems. For decades, her contributions remained unknown outside classified military circles. Today, every smartphone, navigation system, and location-based service relies on Gladys West's mathematical genius. When you check Google Maps or call an Uber, you're using her work. Fact 44. He made blood transfusions possible on a mass scale. Dr. Charles Drew revolutionized blood storage and transfusion, developing the blood bank system that saved millions of lives during World War II and continues saving lives today. Drew discovered that separating plasma from whole blood allowed longer storage, creating the first large-scale blood banks. He directed the Blood for Britain project in 1940, sending vital plasma to British soldiers, then organized America's first Red Cross blood bank. Tragically, Drew died in 1950 after a car accident. Urban legend claims he was refused treatment at a whites-only hospital and bled to death. The truth is more complex. He received treatment, but his injuries were too severe. The legend persists because it reflected the real horror of segregated medicine that Drew himself fought against while saving countless lives through his innovations. Fact 43. The woman whose cells became immortal and revolutionized medicine. Henrietta Lacks was a black woman whose cancer cells, taken without her knowledge or consent in 1951, became the first immortal human cell line, known as HeLa cells. These cells have been reproducing continuously for over 70 years and have been used in research leading to the polio vaccine, cancer treatments, HIV/AIDS research, gene mapping, cloning, and COVID-19 vaccines. HeLa cells have been launched into space, exposed to nuclear testing, and used in over 75,000 studies. The pharmaceutical industry has generated billions from her cells, while her family remained unaware for decades and received no compensation. Henrietta Lacks's contribution to medical science is literally immeasurable, yet her story raises profound questions about medical ethics, consent, and exploitation. Fact 42. The engineer who saved Apollo 13. When Apollo 13 suffered a catastrophic oxygen tank explosion, the mission shifted from lunar landing to survival. Engineers at Mission Control had to solve impossible problems in real time. Among them was a critical challenge. The lunar module's carbon dioxide removal system was incompatible with the command module system. Astronauts would suffocate from CO2 poisoning unless engineers designed a solution using only materials available on the spacecraft. The team, which included black engineers working in NASA's segregated era, devised a makeshift adapter using plastic bags, cardboard, and tape. The astronauts built it in space following radio instructions. It worked. 3 astronauts came home alive because engineers solved an impossible puzzle under impossible pressure. Fact 41. She designed the touchscreen. Dr. Mary Jackson, featured in Hidden Figures, was NASA's first black female engineer. But lesser known is Dr. Valerie Thomas, who invented the illusion transmitter in 1980, technology that produces optical 3D illusions using concave mirrors and transmitted images. Her invention laid groundwork for modern 3D imaging technology, medical imaging, and touchscreen interfaces. Thomas began at NASA in 1964, developed satellite imaging technology, and managed the Landsat program that provides Earth observation data. Her illusion transmitter patent demonstrates principles now used in everything from surgical imaging to video game graphics to the screen you're probably reading this on. Fact 40. The man who invented the gas mask and traffic signal. Garrett Morgan invented both the gas mask, 1914, and the 3-position traffic signal, 1923. His gas mask, officially called the Morgan Safety Hood, saved countless lives in industrial accidents and was used by firefighters and soldiers in World War I. Morgan himself used his invention to rescue workers trapped in a tunnel explosion beneath Lake Erie in 1916, descending into toxic smoke that had killed previous rescuers. His heroism was widely publicized until people discovered he was black, after which orders for his safety hood were canceled across the South. Morgan's traffic signal introduced the yellow caution light between red and green, revolutionizing traffic safety. He sold the patent to General Electric for $40,000, a fraction of its true value, because as a black inventor, he had limited negotiating power. Fact 39. The forgotten astronaut who almost went to space first. Captain Ed Dwight was selected by President Kennedy in 1961 to become America's first black astronaut. Dwight excelled in test pilot training and aerospace engineering, outperforming many peers. But institutional racism within the Air Force and NASA created barriers at every turn. Instructors failed him on subjective evaluations despite his technical excellence. He was denied opportunities given to white candidates. When NASA selected its astronaut group in 1963, Dwight was excluded despite his qualifications. He left the program in 1966, and it would be another 17 years before Guion Bluford became the first black American in space in 1983. Dwight's story reveals how systemic discrimination delayed representation in space exploration for 2 decades. Fact 38. She broke barriers in nuclear physics. Dr. Shirley Jackson was the first black woman to earn a PhD from MIT, 1973, in theoretical physics, and conducted breakthrough research in theoretical physics, telecommunications, and particle physics. Her research at Bell Laboratories laid the groundwork for numerous telecommunications technologies, including caller ID, call waiting, the fiber optic cable, solar cells, and the portable fax. Jackson later became the first black woman to lead a top-ranked research university, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Her work in condensed matter physics and quantum theory continues influencing modern telecommunications and technology. Every time your phone displays who's calling, you're using technology derived from Shirley Jackson's research. Fact 37. The inventor who created automatic doors, refrigerated trucks, and air conditioning for vehicles. Frederick McKinley Jones holds over 60 patents, including the roof-mounted refrigeration unit for trucks and railroad cars. Before Jones' 1940 invention, transporting perishable goods long distances was nearly impossible. His refrigeration technology revolutionized the food industry, enabling fresh produce, meat, and dairy to reach consumers thousands of miles from production. Jones also invented the first portable X-ray machine, a self-starting gasoline motor, and sound equipment for early motion pictures. During World War II, his refrigeration units transported blood serum and medicine to battlefields, saving countless lives. Yet most people have never heard of him, despite his innovations fundamentally reshaping global commerce and daily life. Fact 36. The mathematician whose calculations sent astronauts to the moon. Katherine Johnson calculated the trajectories for Alan Shepard, first American in space, John Glenn's orbital flight, and the Apollo 11 moon landing. Her mathematical precision was so trusted that when NASA began using electronic computers, astronauts demanded Katherine Johnson verify the calculations by hand. John Glenn famously refused to fly until Johnson checked the computer's numbers, saying, "If she says they're good, then I'm ready to go." Johnson worked for decades at NASA and its predecessor NACA as a computer, a mathematician performing complex calculations. She calculated launch windows, emergency return paths, and trajectories requiring accounting for Earth's rotation, gravitational forces, and orbital mechanics. Her work in the segregated West Area Computing section contributed to virtually every major American space achievement from the 1950s to 1980s. Fact 35. He made elevators safe enough to build skyscrapers. Alexander Miles didn't invent the elevator, but his 1887 patent for automatic elevator doors made them practical and safe. Before Miles's innovation, elevator shafts had open doors that posed deadly falling hazards. Passengers had to manually close doors at every floor. Frequently, they forgot, resulting in deaths. Miles invented a mechanism that automatically opened and closed elevator shaft doors when the elevator arrived and departed. This simple but crucial safety feature made high-rise buildings viable. Modern cities with their skylines of skyscrapers exist partly because Alexander Miles made vertical transportation safe. Fact 34. The engineer who designed New York's subway system. Granville T. Woods, known as the Black Edison, held nearly 60 patents in electrical and mechanical engineering. His most significant invention, the synchronous multiplex railway telegraph, 1887, which allowed moving trains to communicate with stations, preventing collisions and improving scheduling. This technology was essential for safe, efficient subway and railroad operations. Woods also invented improvements to electric railways, automatic air brakes, and the third rail electrical system used in subways worldwide. He fought patent battles against Thomas Edison twice and won both times, forcing Edison to acknowledge Woods's superior designs. Major corporations, including General Electric, Westinghouse, and American Bell, purchased his patents. Fact 33. She invented the home security system. Marie Van Britten Brown, a nurse working late hours in Queens, New York, felt unsafe in her neighborhood with slow police response times. In 1966, she invented the first home security system with her husband, Albert. Their design included a motorized camera that residents could move to view different angles through peepholes, monitors displaying visitors at the door, a two-way microphone to communicate with people outside, and a remote control to unlock doors. Brown's patent established principles used in modern home security: remote video surveillance, two-way communication, and remote lock control. Every Ring doorbell, security camera, and smart home security system traces its lineage to Marie Van Britten Brown's invention. Fact 32. The chemist who revolutionized food preservation. Lloyd Augustus Hall was a pioneering food chemist who developed meat curing and food preservation techniques that extended shelf life and prevented spoilage. He revolutionized the meatpacking industry with flash drying processes and sterilization methods using ethylene oxide gas. Hall held over 100 patents related to food chemistry and preservation. His techniques made prepackaged, preserved foods practical and safe, contributing to modern food distribution systems. The ability to buy bacon, hot dogs, and cured meats at grocery stores relies on Hall's food preservation innovations. Fact 31. He invented the modern bicycle frame. Isaac R. Johnson patented an improved bicycle frame design in 1899 that allowed for better weight distribution, easier mounting and dismounting, and improved structural integrity. His innovations influenced modern bicycle frame geometry. While bicycles existed before Johnson, his design improvements made them more practical, comfortable, and accessible to a broader range of riders. The step-through frame design particularly benefited women cyclists of the Victorian era who rode in long skirts. Fact 30. The woman who pioneered cataract surgery. Dr. Patricia Bath was an ophthalmologist who invented the laser phaco probe in 1986, a laser device that uses a laser to vaporize cataracts quickly, accurately, and with less pain than previous methods. Bath's invention revolutionized cataract surgery, restoring sight to millions worldwide. She was the first black woman to receive a medical patent and the first black female doctor to complete a residency in ophthalmology. Bath founded the American Institute for the Prevention of Blindness, asserting that eyesight is a basic human right. Her laser technology remains the foundation of modern cataract treatment. Fact 29. He made mailboxes functional. Philip B. Downing patented an improved street letterbox in 1891 that protected mail from weather and theft. His design featured a hinged door that allowed depositing mail while keeping the box's contents secure and dry. Downing's innovations made outdoor mailboxes practical and contributed to the expansion of postal services. Before his improvements, outdoor mail collection points were vulnerable to rain, snow, and tampering. His design principles remain evident in modern mailboxes and collection boxes. Fact 28. The inventor of the modern ironing board. Sarah Boone patented an improved ironing board in 1892 designed specifically for ironing women's garments. Her narrow, curved board allowed for better ironing of sleeves and the fitted seams common in women's clothing. Boone's design featured a padded, heat-resistant cover and collapsible legs for easy storage. Before her patent, people typically ironed on tables or planks, inefficient and awkward. Boone's ironing board design established the standard configuration still used today. She was one of the first black women to receive a U.S. patent. Fact 27. He invented the automatic gear shift. Richard Spikes invented and patented the automatic gear shift in 1932, along with improvements to automotive technology, including an automatic car washer, directional signals, and a beer keg tap. The automatic transmission transformed driving from a technical skill requiring constant gear management into a simple, accessible activity. Spikes continued inventing despite going blind later in life, dictating his ideas and drawings to assistants. His patents contributed to making automobiles safer and easier to operate. Fact 26. The woman who changed the pharmaceutical industry. Dr. Jane Cook Wright was a pioneering cancer researcher who developed chemotherapy techniques still used today. Wright tested chemotherapeutic agents on human tissue cultures rather than laboratory mice, producing more accurate results for human treatment. She pioneered the use of methotrexate to treat breast cancer and skin cancer, developed non-surgical methods for delivering chemotherapy directly to tumors, and led research into combination chemotherapy, using multiple drugs simultaneously to combat cancer. Wright became the highest-ranking Black woman at a major medical institution when appointed as Associate Dean and Head of Cancer Research at New York Medical College in 1967. Her research saved countless lives and established foundational chemotherapy protocols. Fact 25. He invented peanut butter and 300 other uses for peanuts. George Washington Carver is famous for peanut butter, though he didn't technically invent it. Versions existed earlier. What Carver actually did was far more revolutionary. He developed over 300 uses for peanuts, transforming them from animal feed into a major agricultural crop. Carver created peanut-based products including milk, flour, ink, dyes, plastics, cosmetics, medicinal oils, soap, and fuel. His work helped Southern farmers transition from cotton monoculture, which depleted soil, to crop rotation using peanuts and sweet potatoes, which replenish nitrogen. Carver also developed 100+ uses for sweet potatoes and dozens more for soybeans and pecans. He revolutionized Southern agriculture, saved farms from economic collapse, and demonstrated that innovation could emerge from America's historically Black colleges. Carver refused to patent most of his discoveries, believing knowledge should benefit humanity freely. Fact 24. She designed critical software for NASA's space program. Dr. Christine Darden was a mathematician and aerospace engineer whose research on sonic booms at NASA Langley Research Center minimized the disruptive effects of supersonic flight. Darden developed innovative computer programs to predict sonic boom intensity and designed aircraft configurations to reduce noise. Her work contributed directly to developing quieter supersonic aircraft and expanding understanding of aerodynamics. Darden held a PhD in mechanical engineering and managed NASA programs developing next-generation air transportation technologies. She authored over 50 technical papers on aerodynamics and sonic boom prediction. Fact 23. The inventor who improved the lawn sprinkler and the fountain pen. Joseph H. Smith patented improvements to the lawn sprinkler in 1897, creating a more efficient water distribution system for irrigating lawns and agricultural fields. John W. Reed patented a practical fountain pen design, and William Purvis patented fountain pen improvements, including an innovative ink reservoir system. These Black inventors collectively advanced technologies that seem mundane but were transformative for office work, agriculture, and daily life. Before practical fountain pens, writing required constant dipping in inkwells, inefficient and messy. Fact 22. He pioneered blood plasma preservation research. Dr. Charles Drew, mentioned earlier but deserving expansion, wasn't just important for organizing blood banks. His doctoral research at Columbia University developed techniques for processing and preserving blood plasma. Drew discovered that plasma could be dried and reconstituted later, remaining usable for longer periods than whole blood. This discovery enabled battlefield medicine during World War II. Dried plasma could be shipped to combat zones and reconstituted when needed, saving thousands of soldiers' lives. Drew's research established the scientific foundation for modern blood banking, plasma donation, and transfusion medicine. The American Red Cross Blood Bank, which he directed, continues operating based on principles Drew established. Fact 21. The engineer behind color television and fiber optics. Dr. Mark Dean is a computer scientist and engineer who holds 3 of IBM's original 9 PC patents. Dean led the team that developed the ISA bus, the internal architecture allowing peripheral devices like printers, modems, and keyboards to connect directly to computers. He also led development of the first gigahertz processor chip. Dean's innovations were fundamental to making personal computers functional, expandable, and practical for mainstream use. Without his work, computers would remain isolated machines unable to connect to peripherals we consider basic necessities. Fact 20. She developed critical software systems. Dorothy Vaughan was a mathematician who became NASA's first black supervisor, managing the segregated West Area Computing Section. When NASA transitioned to electronic computing, Vaughan taught herself and her staff Fortran programming, ensuring her team remained essential to space operations. Vaughan contributed to numerous missions and became an expert in Fortran, one of the earliest high-level programming languages. She worked on the Scout launch vehicle program, which placed satellites into Earth orbit. Vaughan's leadership during computing's transition from human calculators to electronic computers preserved opportunities for black women mathematicians during technological upheaval. Fact 19. The inventor of the dustpan. Lloyd P. Ray patented an improved dustpan design in 1897, featuring a container with an angled edge that allowed for easier sweeping of dust and debris. While seemingly simple, Ray's design innovation made cleaning more efficient and established the standard dustpan configuration used worldwide. Sometimes the most important inventions solve everyday problems so elegantly that we can't imagine life before them. Fact 18. He invented an early air conditioning system. Frederick McKinley Jones, mentioned earlier for refrigeration, also developed portable air conditioning systems for military field hospitals and mobile refrigeration units during World War II. His climate control innovations extended beyond transportation to medical applications, food service, and military logistics. Jones' work saved lives by preserving blood plasma, vaccines, and medicine in tropical combat zones where heat and humidity destroyed vital supplies. Fact 17. The chemist who developed synthetic cortisone. Dr. Percy Julian was an organic chemist who synthesized cortisone, steroids, and birth control pills from soybeans, making these medications affordable and widely available. Before Julian's work, cortisone came from animal sources and cost hundreds of dollars per dose, making it inaccessible to most patients. Julian's synthetic production methods reduced costs dramatically, making cortisone treatment for arthritis and other inflammatory diseases available to millions. He also developed synthetic progesterone, contributing to birth control pill development. Julian held over 130 patents and founded his own pharmaceutical company despite facing constant racism, including arson attacks on his home by white neighbors who objected to a black family moving into their Chicago suburb. Fact 16. She revolutionized special education. Dr. Evelyn Boyd Granville was the second black woman to earn a PhD in mathematics, 1949, Yale University. She worked for IBM and NASA, developing computer software to analyze satellite orbits during the Mercury and Apollo space programs. Granville later became a pioneering mathematics educator, developing innovative teaching methods and textbooks that made mathematics accessible to struggling students. Her dual legacy spans space exploration and education reform. Fact 15. The surgeon who pioneered microsurgery, Dr. Samuel Lee Counts Jr., was a transplant surgeon who pioneered kidney transplant techniques, performing the first kidney transplant between humans of different races. Counts developed methods to reduce organ rejection, discovered monitoring techniques to detect early rejection symptoms, and established protocols that dramatically improved transplant success rates. He performed over 500 kidney transplants and trained hundreds of transplant surgeons. Counts's research and surgical innovations saved thousands of lives and established foundations for modern organ transplantation. Fact 14. He invented the automatic lubricator for steam engines. Elijah McCoy invented an automatic lubricator in 1872 that dripped oil onto moving engine parts while machines operated. Before McCoy's invention, machines had to be stopped periodically for manual lubrication, inefficient and costly. McCoy's lubricating cup allowed continuous operation, revolutionizing industrial machinery, railroads, and manufacturing. He held 57 patents related to lubrication systems. Competitors tried copying his designs, but engineers would specify they wanted the real McCoy, possibly the origin of that phrase. McCoy's inventions enabled the Industrial Revolution's full potential by making machinery more efficient and reliable. Fact 13. The mathematician who integrated IBM. Dr. J. Ernest Wilkins Jr. was a child prodigy who entered university at age 13 and earned a PhD in mathematics from the University of Chicago at age 19. He worked on the Manhattan Project during World War II, developing mathematical models for nuclear reactor design. Wilkins later worked for United Nuclear Corporation and General Dynamics, conducting research in optics, nuclear engineering, and applied mathematics. He held patents for solar energy conversion and radiation shielding. Wilkins published over 100 scientific papers and became the first Black American elected to the National Academy of Engineering. Fact 12. She developed NASA's computing systems. Melba Roy Mouton headed NASA's program production section, overseeing astronomical calculations and satellite tracking systems. Mouton managed complex computer systems analyzing satellite data and coordinating tracking station operations worldwide. Her work ensured accurate satellite positioning and data collection for weather forecasting, communications, and scientific research. Mouton worked at NASA from 1959 until retirement, contributing to the space program during its most crucial developmental period. Fact 11. The engineer who designed major civil infrastructure. Archie Alexander was a civil engineer who designed bridges, tunnels, highways, and major infrastructure projects across America. His firm, Alexander and Repass, built the Tidal Basin Bridge and the Whitehurst Freeway in Washington, D.C., along with bridges and sewage systems in numerous cities. Alexander also served as governor of the Virgin Islands. He broke barriers in civil engineering and construction during an era when Black professionals faced enormous discrimination, proving excellence through landmark projects that remain functional today.
Fact 10. He invented the carbon microphone for telephones. Granville T. Woods, mentioned earlier, invented the carbon telephone transmitter that improved sound quality in telephone communications. Woods' design was so superior that Bell Telephone purchased his patent. His innovations made long-distance telephone communication practical and clear. Woods battled Thomas Edison in patent court multiple times, successfully defending his inventions and forcing one of history's most famous inventors to acknowledge a Black man's technical superiority. Fact 9. The doctor who developed breakthrough surgical techniques. Dr. Vivian Thomas was a surgical technician who developed techniques for treating blue baby syndrome, a fatal heart defect, at Johns Hopkins Hospital in the 1940s. Despite having no medical degree and working in a segregated hospital that wouldn't allow him to operate independently, Thomas developed the surgical procedure by experimenting on animals. When Dr. Alfred Blalock performed the first surgery on a human infant in 1944, Thomas stood over Blalock's shoulder, coaching him through the operation Thomas had perfected. The Blalock-Thomas Taussig shunt saved thousands of infants' lives. Thomas eventually received an honorary doctorate from Johns Hopkins and trained generations of surgeons, including many who became department heads at major hospitals. His story reveals both extraordinary genius and the injustice of a system that relegated a master surgeon to technician status because of race. Fact 8. She pioneered environmental toxicology research. Dr. Margaret S. Collins was an entomologist who became a leading expert on termites and pest control. Collins conducted groundbreaking research on termite biology, ecology, and behavior. Her work contributed to developing environmentally safe pest control methods and understanding termite damage prevention. Collins was the first Black woman to earn a PhD in entomology and became a professor at Howard University, training future scientists while conducting research that influenced pest management practices nationwide. Fact 7. The inventor of modern railroad innovations. Andrew Jackson Beard invented the Jenny coupler, automatic railroad car coupler, in 1897 after losing a leg in a coupling accident. Before Beard's invention, coupling railroad cars required workers to stand between cars manually connecting them, extremely dangerous work that killed or maimed thousands. Beard's automatic coupler allowed cars to couple by simply backing into each other. His invention became mandatory on U.S. railroads and saved countless lives. Beard sold his patent for $50,000, significant money in 1897, but a fraction of its true value, considering it became standard equipment on railroads worldwide. Fact 6. She revolutionized maternal-fetal medicine. Dr. Janet F. Hendricks was a biochemist whose research contributed to understanding prenatal development and maternal health. Her work on hormones during pregnancy, fetal development markers, and prenatal screening techniques improved outcomes for mothers and babies.
Hendricks' research contributed to developing tests that detect potential pregnancy complications early, enabling interventions that save lives.
Fact 5. He invented early data processing systems. Mark Hanna designed computer graphics systems and co-founded Silicon Graphics Inc., SGI, which revolutionized computer graphics, visual effects, and 3D rendering. SGI technology powered visual effects in films including Jurassic Park and The Matrix, advanced scientific visualization, and enabled breakthroughs in medical imaging. Hanna's graphics processors and algorithms established foundations for modern computer graphics, video game graphics, and visual computing. Fact 4. The mathematician who broke codes during World War II. Euphemia Lofton Haynes earned a PhD in mathematics in 1943, the first black woman to do so, conducting research in abstract algebra and topology. Haynes worked as a mathematics educator and administrator in Washington, D.C. public schools, while conducting research and advocating for educational equity. Her mathematical research contributed to abstract algebra theory, and her educational work improved mathematics education for thousands of students. Fact 3. He designed electromagnetic technology. James E. West co-invented the electret microphone in 1962 while working at Bell Laboratories. This microphone design is used in approximately 90% of all microphones manufactured today, including those in smartphones, laptops, hearing aids, and professional audio equipment. West holds over 250 patents related to acoustic and electret technology. The electret microphone's reliability, small size, and low cost made it ubiquitous. Every time you make a phone call, record audio, or use voice commands, you're using James West's invention. West also mentored minority science students and advocated for diversity in STEM fields throughout his career. Fact 2. She helped NASA navigate to the moon and beyond. Dorothy Johnson Vaughan, Katherine Johnson, and Mary Jackson, the hidden figures, weren't alone. Dozens of black women mathematicians worked in NASA's segregated computing sections, calculating trajectories, verifying computer outputs, and solving problems that made space exploration possible. These women performed complex mathematical calculations by hand, dealing with orbital mechanics, atmospheric drag, gravitational forces, and thousands of variables. They worked in segregated offices, used segregated bathrooms, and received less recognition than their white colleagues. Yet their calculations were so accurate and essential that NASA's space program depended on them. Their story reveals both extraordinary individual brilliance and systemic injustice that hid their contributions for decades. Fact 1. They built the modern world while history looked away. From light bulbs to traffic lights, elevators to automatic doors, blood banks to chemotherapy, GPS to computer processors, peanut agriculture to spaceflight calculations, black inventors, scientists, and engineers created technologies that define modern civilization. They did it while banned from universities, denied patents, excluded from professional organizations, prevented from publishing in major journals, and forced to work in segregated facilities. They solved problems everyone said couldn't be solved, invented devices everyone said couldn't work, and achieved excellence in fields everyone said they couldn't enter. Their innovations saved lives, built cities, connected continents, explored space, cured diseases, and transformed daily existence for billions of people. Many died unknown. Many had their work stolen or credited to others. Many were written out of textbooks and historical records. But their legacy is everywhere. In every skyscraper that doesn't fall, every elevator that doesn't crash, every surgery that saves a life, every spacecraft that reaches orbit, every phone call that connects, every computer that computes. Black brilliance built the technological foundation of the modern world. History tried to erase them. The inventions remain, and so do the stories, finally being told. This is just the beginning. Black inventors, scientists, and engineers didn't just contribute to American innovation. They were essential architects of the modern world, achieving breakthroughs despite systematic exclusion from education, resources, and recognition. Their stories aren't footnotes, they're the foundation. From Benjamin Banneker designing a capital city from memory, to Dr. Shirley Jackson's research enabling caller ID, from Lewis Latimer making Edison's light bulb work,
to Katherine Johnson calculating lunar trajectories, from Dr. Charles Drew saving millions through blood plasma research, to Lonnie Johnson inventing technology for Jupiter missions and backyard warfare. Black excellence in STEM fields transformed civilization while facing barriers designed to ensure failure. These are diversity statistics. These are world changers who rewrote what's possible. And there are hundreds more stories still untold, still waiting for recognition, still proving that genius emerges everywhere. But opportunity doesn't. That's changing. Too slowly, but changing. And it's about time.